Hello guys, this is Mike from Ti-NspireApps.com. Not only do we create software for Ti-Inspires and Ti-89s, we also offer SAT prep, and today I welcome you to our digital SAT math class. We have over 30 years of teaching experience in our group, teaching SAT prep, calculus, statistics, pre-calculus, algebra 2. On average, our students increase the SAT score by almost 300 points. Today we're going to go over the digital math SAT practice test number 1, and I want you to pay good attention because we will be showing you all the tricks of the trade that you need to know in order to master these SAT digital tests. So what you will learn today is you'll learn strategies such as back solving, eliminating options, eyeballing solutions, and also time management. The formulas that we use are pretty limited in this test. You can see for lines we use the mx plus b formula. For perpendicular lines you should know that their two slopes are equal to -1 when multiplied, and a linear equation given in the standard form has a slope of -a over b. First off, let me tell you a few information about the digital test and how it differs from the paper SAT. So you only have 70 minutes instead of 80 minutes before. There's still 2 modules, but on both math modules you have 22 questions and calculators allowed on all 22 or 44 questions at all times, plus Desmos, which is now the new thing, and I will show you that as well. So the time is 2 times 35 minutes, or 35 minutes for each module. And you should also know that out of the 44 questions, 33 have choices and 11 don't have choices, so you have to grid those in, and I will show you perfectly how to do all of that. So let me show you which test. If you want to follow along, just Google digital SAT practice test number 1 and you will find that on the College Board website. I already have it pulled up here for you, and you all remember the formulas that are shown on the first page that you need to know, in particular the top row, and a little bit less frequent the bottom row formulas. Okay, so you can always refer to those. So let's get it going. Also notice here a circle has 2 pi radian or 360 degrees, and the sum of the measures of the angles in a triangle is 180 degrees. Okay, my friends, let's get it going. I'm going to do 22 questions in this test right now with you, step by step. So it's going to take me a little longer than it would normally take, because I'm going to go ahead and clarify, explain things in order for you to benefit perfectly from this masterclass. So 10% of 470, that just means you move the decimal point 1 over to the left, and 47 is your answer, straight up. Number 2, let me scroll down. Which equation has the same solution? Well, as you know, when you solve equations, you do reverse PEMDAS. So you subtract 6 on both sides, that gives you that equation. And that's already option C, and you're done. So nothing to this. Of course, you want to answer the first questions faster so you have more time for the more difficult questions later on. So total cost in dollars to rent surfboard is $25 service fee and a $10 rental fee per hour. So that's classical mx plus b format, where m is always the slope, right, where you have an increase per hour, and the service fee is your y-intercept b, that gives you a set fee. So if you just plug mx plus b into if you just plug those values into your formula, you're just going to have 10x plus 25, and it says a maximum of 75. That means no more than 75, and that looks like it's option D. Okay, scrolling up, number 4. The function g is defined by this. For what value of x is g of x equal to 25? Well, all you need to do is just set the equation equal to 25 and subtract 9 and solve for x. So subtract 9 is going to give you 16, and then you will get plus minus 4. You only have 4 as an option and not negative 4. So that's why we circle A. Each face of a fair 14-sided die is labeled. So you can also just quickly underline the important information with numbered 1 through 14 with a different number appearing on each face. If the die is rolled once, what's the probability of rolling a 2? Well, 2 is just as likely as 1 as it is 3 as it is 4, so it's just going to be 1 out of 14. If they had asked rolling a 2 or a 3, then there would have been 2 favorable outcomes out of 14, so that would be 2 out of 14. Then that would have been option B. And if somebody asks you what's the chance of rolling a 15 or a 20, well, that's not a favorable outcome. It's impossible. Impossible outcomes 0 or 14. Just FYI. Moving on. 16. A printer produces posters at a rate of 42 posters per minute. At what rate in posters per hour, underlined for you, does the printer produce the posters? Well, since there's 60 minutes in an hour, all you need to do is compute 60 times 42. You have a calculator available, just type it in. I'm just going to type it in here into Google. I'll leave that up to you. My internet not working right now, but that's fine. Number 7. The function f is defined by the equation blah blah blah. What is the value of f when x equals 4? Well, it couldn't be simpler, this question. When you see x is equal to 4, then x is equal to 4 also in that equation. So just plug in 4. So you're going to get 7 times 4 plus 2. That's going to be 30. 7 fourths is 28 and 2 makes 30. So far, nothing to this. A teacher is creating an assignment worth 70 points. The assignment will consist of points worth 1 point and questions worth 3 points. Which equation represents a situation where x pertains to the 1 point and y pertains to the 3 point questions? So since x is worth 1 point and y is worth 3 points, you're going to multiply the y by 3 and the x by 1, and that will give you option D. Number 9. Right triangles LMN and PQR are similar. Similar means where L and M correspond to P and Q. So L's angle is the same as P angle, and M's angle is the same as Q's angle. So if angle M has a measure of 53, that means Q has a measure of 53. Number 10. So here we have a system of equations. And what's the value of x? Well, since we want to figure out x, we want to eliminate y. How do we eliminate y? Well, we replace the y in the top equation by the y in the bottom equation. So we're going to have 4x minus y, which is 3x from the first equation, simplified, 4x minus 3x is 1x, and that's equal to 15, as it says here. So x is equal to 15. It could not be any simpler than this. Number 10, here we have a linear model, and you can see we definitely have a negative slope. So when I say we're going to look at our options, so it can only be between A and B, because this one has a positive and this one has a positive slope of 1.9. So we're looking at negative slopes. And now to distinguish between A and B, we just have to estimate the y-intercept, which is about 10, positive 10. So that corresponds to our positive 10 here. So that means answer B is the correct option. Okay, hypothetically, what would we have? What would be equation if we were starting here at 0 and going up at a slope of about 2? We would have the equation 2x as a slope plus 0, which is our y-intercept here. Moving on. Well, number 12 couldn't be any simpler. The graph is shown where we have a cubic function, which we can see has a max and a min. And for how many values of x does f equal 0? Well, that is just asking how often does the graph cross the x-axis. And we can see that happens exactly 3 times. So we go with C and we move on. What is one of the solutions to the given equation? Well, some people try trial and error. That may be too time consuming by plugging in 1 or 2. In fact, you get lucky by plugging in 2, because 4 plus 20 minus 24 is 0. The algebraic way, of course, of solving this is by factoring. What two numbers multiply give you negative 4 and add it gives you 10, and that looks like it is 12 and negative 2, right? 12 times negative 2 is 24, and 12 minus 2 is 10. So now we just have to set each one equal to 0, and we're going to get z is equal to negative 12 and z is equal to 2. So you can either give this one or that one as an answer, because they only want one solution of the 2. Also, for your information, you could have used Desmos by typing in your equation here. Let me see if I can show you that a little bit better here on the left. You gotta use x as your variables, cannot use y. So I just typed in x squared plus 10x minus 24. It gave me this graph here on the right, and then I just have to click on the x-intercepts, and there you can see negative 12 and 2. Okay, simple as that. Okay, let's move on. 15. The bacteria are growing. Let me scroll down. Bacteria are growing in a liquid growth medium. There were 300,000 cells per milliliter during an initial observation. Okay, that's your starting point. The number of cells per milliliter doubles every 3 hours. So that's important. That means if we start with 300,000, then we have 600,000, then we have after 3 hours, after another 3 hours, we have 12, 24, 48, and 96. And just imagine you have 5 more zeros at the end, so 96 is going to be your answer, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we double 5 times every 3 hours. That'll give us 15 hours total, so our answer is going to be D. Okay, here comes a simple math factoring question, and you can see that we have a plus sign there. So again, we can eliminate A and B. There's no more pluses left. So now we have to distinguish between C and D as an answer. Notice the answers differ by x to the 6 and x to the 4. So we just really have to focus on the x's here. Or what we could do, we could just distribute the x squared to the x to the 6, and that's going to give us an x to the 8, which we have here. And that means we already have the right answer, because if you distribute the x squared to the x to the 4 here, we would get x to the 6. But there is no x to the 6 in the first term. So that's why the option is C. 17. Here is our neighborhood, and consists of a 2 hectare park and a 35 hectare residential area. The total number of trees is that. The equation that represents the situation is this. Which of the following is the best interpretation of x in this context? Well, x goes in our equation with a 2, and 2 pertains to the 2 hectare park. So that means our answer cannot deal with residential area, but it has to deal with hectare, and it is going to be A, because if we were to multiply our total number of trees in the park again by 2, we would overstate the number of trees in the park. So it has to be the average number of trees per hectare that we multiply by 2 in our equation. 18. Let's scroll down a little bit. So here we have we have company A, company B. The graph shows the relationship, number of shares of stock from company A, which is the x-axis, that's also written here, and the number of shares. So which equation, so all of this text really you didn't need to read. Which equation could represent this relationship? Well, we have obviously a straight line equation. And how do you identify the correct option here? Well, you have every line is defined by 2 points. This has here the point 60, 0, and this here has a y-intercept of 0, 40. So if you plug these 2 points into your options down here, it has to fulfill your equation. So if you, for example, plug in 60 for x here in A, does this equal to 0? Definitely not. 8 60s is not going to work. And the same here. If you plug in 60, you're not going to get 0. So let's check this one out. B. 8 times 60, if I plug in 60 in here, I'm going to get 480 plus 12 times y. And my y here is 0. So this one works. Let's also plug this point in, 0, 40. If I plug in 0 for x from here, I'm going to get 0. And 12 times 40 is 400. So this one works. On to the next. Only one option is right. Don't have to worry about D. Here we have circle A, a radius of 3n, and circle B has a radius of 129n, where n is a positive constant. The area of circle B is how many times the area of circle A. So all we do is we just find the ratio of those two circles. circle B is a big one, so the area is obviously pi r squared. So this is for circle B. And for circle A, we're going to get pi r squared, and the radius for the small circle is 3n. So we just have to we can eyeball the answer, the pi's cancel, and when we distribute the squares inside, we can also cancel out the n's. So now we just have to think of, okay, 129 squared over 3 squared, which is really 9 or 10. So when you think of 129 squared, that will be a 5-digit number. Divide that by 3 squared, or 9, or roughly 10. So 5-digit divided by 10 is going to be a 4-digit number. So when you think about it, we can never even get close to 129, 86, or 43. So we don't really need to know what the correct answer is. We just need to identify the correct option in an SAT test, and that's clearly D, just by eyeballing. But you have a calculator available, so if you want to be on the safe side, type in 129 squared over 9. Well, my friends, we only have 3 questions left. I think we spent only 20 minutes, and that was probably me talking 10 minutes explaining things, so that may have only really taken 10 minutes to actually answer questions. So here's a table, and all we need to look is the question, the maximum data value. Well, the highest data value is 14. That's the maximum, so that's your answer already. It occurs 6 times, but nobody cares about that. The minimum value is 6 if they would ask you. And the other question they may ask you is, what is the mode, the most frequent number? That would be 11, because 11 occurs 11 times. All the other data values occur less often. Okay? And if they were to ask you what is the average, you have to add up all these numbers and divide by the number of numbers. So you would have to add up 3 6s plus 3 7s plus 8 8s all the way down to 6 14s, add them up and divide by the numbers added that you have here as frequency. But that's very time consuming. I always suggest to my students, time consuming questions, even if you know the answer, put a star to it and come back to it before you turn in the test if you have time left, and then tackle those questions then. Because it's much more important to answer 5 questions fast than to answer 1 question correctly, but it takes you 5 minutes. It's all about time management. 21. So here we have a circle in the XY plane with a diameter. So let me just show you quickly. 2, 4, 2 over, 4 up. Here's a point, and 2, 14, 2 over and 14 up. So it's somewhere here. So you have a circle, roughly looks like this. And the diameter is 2 times the radius, as you know. So how far is 14 away from 4? Obviously 10. If the diameter is 10, that means that the radius is 5. So 5 here and 5 here. So in our equation, what is r? Where r is a positive constant, so r is 5. So that is our answer. R is equal to 5. That's the radius, because that's what the circle equation is asking for. Okay, last question, 22. So here we have a measure of angle r, which is 2 pi over 3 radians, and the measure of angle t is 5 pi over 12 radians greater than the measure of r. So what is the measure of t in degrees? So all we need to do is we just need to add up these 2 radian angles. By adding them, we need to have a common denominator. and the common denominator is obviously 12, so we multiply this here by 4 on top and bottom, so we're going to get 8 pi over 12. We have a common denominator, so now we can, okay, so we have 13 over 12 pi. Now, my friends, you should know that pi is equal to 180. Okay, so if you have 13 over 12, which is a factor slightly more than 1, right? 12 over 12 would be 1. 13 over 12 is slightly more than 1. That means if you multiply pi, or pi here, by a number slightly more than 1, your answer is going to be slightly more than 180, because pi corresponds to 180. The only answer slightly more than 180 is 195. All the others are way off. So again, you don't have to find the exact answer, you just have to identify the correct option, which in this case is C. And these are 22 questions that we answered in 26 minutes. We actually still have now 6 minutes left, and yeah, I can now tell you a number of jokes for 6 minutes, or we're just gonna get some fresh air or put our head down, because we still have section 2 to do on our SAT Math Digital Test, module 2. Talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, you can post them, of course, in the comments below. And we also put down further references in the comment section for you if you need any more assistance with what we just went over. Thanks for watching again. Bye.